Number 1. I used to play in a music band in Guatemala at the time. This happened in the late 70s. We would do music gigs at certain bars or clubs every weekend. On this specific night, it was a nightclub we were hired. It was about 2 a.m. when we packed up and left the club, so all 5 of us got in the car and we started to drive back home. We had to drive past several dark streets which had little to no lighting. For whatever reason, the car stopped in the middle of this one dark street. The following street over to the left was a streetlight which was barely lit. Out of nowhere, I was able to see this demon-looking thing on the other side. Picture a newborn baby with eyes and teeth that look like the devil. That's exactly what it looked like. We all began to scream as suddenly this thing began walking towards us. My friend began to kick the steering wheel and managed to get the car back on. We began to speed away as I looked back and saw the demon walking towards us, and then it just faded away into the darkness as the car picked up speed. And yeah, I probably know what you're thinking, but before we even go there, just know that none of us drink and none of us do any drugs of any sort. We were all sober and we all saw it. There's no explanation. Number 2. This happened in Puerto Rico. I was 26 at the time. I worked with my uncle at a slaughterhouse for cows and pigs. Most of our work took place between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. so we can send off the fresh meat to local markets before sunrise. One night we got called in at 2 in the morning and made the long 45-minute drive across the thick terrain. Usually he was the one driving there and I was the one napping. As we made it halfway through, he slams the brake hard and starts cursing in Spanish. I woke up a little disoriented and shocked as shit at what we were looking at. It was this huge bear or ape looking creature, tall as fuck, maybe 8 or 9 feet tall, hairy. We didn't see much detail as it was crossing the road already. All I managed to see was the back of it. Head, shoulders, back, legs. It was pure mass of a beast. And I doubt Bigfoot lives in Puerto Rico, so what the fuck was that? Never heard or seen anything like that ever since. Number 3. My parents are from El Salvador and my dad told me this story that when he was 10 years old there was a small lake/pond in the village he lived in. There was this story about this giant clam looking thing that would eat things such as dogs, cats, and even some humans, just to paint a picture of how big this thing was. Supposedly this giant clam looking thing would occasionally come out at dusk and dawn to feed. Anyway, he told me on one specific summer year, a series of about 10 or 20 people and pets mysteriously went missing. And of course last seen near the lake. The villagers all claimed that the clam had ate them. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if I believe in this next part, but what I can tell you is that my dad isn't the type of person that would make stuff up. One day he was by himself heading to go play near the lake when he saw the thing. He described it as this massive clam looking thing, maybe 400 or 500 pounds, just basking on a rock. He said it opened and it closed its jaws quickly and fell back in the water and wasn't seen again. Nobody else saw it but him. The loud splash caused the scene. My dad immediately told the men what he saw. The villagers urged him to go back home and that was it. Nobody ever knew or confirmed what that thing really was. Again, it feels crazy to believe this story, but I know my dad would never make stuff up like that. Number 4. It was before I graduated middle school. We went to this camp field trip, so I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to make it to the bus on time. It was a little earlier than what I'm used to, so I was a little tired. I went to the bathroom and began brushing my teeth, when suddenly I see this ghastly looking skull floating behind me in the mirror. Like literally just a floating skull made this weird sound and then just disappeared. Now, it could have been that I was just sleepy or groggy, but I don't just see things like that every time I'm tired. I cannot confirm or deny what I saw, but it definitely happened in my mind or in reality. Number 5. Back in my country when I was 21, my friends and I would always swim at this small pond every time. There was 9 of us total, including myself, so we began playing a game. I guess it can be the equivalent to tag, but inside the water. Anyway, when it was my turn, I was chasing my friends all around the water and made a jump/dive towards one of them. I literally missed him by a few inches, but what I ended up grabbing was something totally unexpected. I grabbed a tail, like a tail of something. As soon as I grabbed it, it swam away with such brute force it ripped free of my grip. The game immediately stopped as I told my friends, and we immediately got out of the water and went back home. No known aquatic animal that would live near would be so big and so powerful with a tail of that size in a small pond just like that one. Best way I can describe it is that it felt like an oxtail. By the size of the tail and the force in which it broke free from me, I honestly don't know what it was. Number 6. I lived in a small 4-unit apartment building in Compton. One night I woke up to commotion at 4 in the morning by my neighbors. I went outside and saw everybody outside looking and pointing at the sky. Everyone was screaming, "What the fuck is that?" I looked up at the sky and saw what looked to be a person floating or flying in the sky. I couldn't make much detail but a silhouette of a person in mid-air. It was going in a straight direction and then it got too far for any of us to see it anymore. It was creepy as fuck. One of us can be wrong, but 14 of us seeing the same thing? Come on now. Number 7. I live in a small ranch at the top of a hill in Mexico. I have 2 horses, a gelding and a mare that I occasionally let roam free in the hills to graze during the day. Every day before dusk, I would go out and find them and bring them back to my ranch and keep them in for the night, to avoid attacks from any cougars or jaguars that we have in the area. One night I was walking up the hill which overlooks the whole entire thing. Before reaching the top, I felt heavy vibration on the ground, thundering hooves as they were coming at me at full speed. It was my 1,000-pound mare coming at me at 2,000 miles per hour and literally knocked me down at full speed, followed by my gelding also running at a high speed. They were clearly spooked or running away from something that had tormented them. I grabbed my rifle and kept walking towards the top of the hill to see if I can identify the source of my horse's terror. I was able to see at a distance this black reptile-looking creature. It was about the size of a tall bear, but it was skinny, piercing yellow eyes, hunchback, and had a predatory appearance to it. I took out my rifle, aimed and fired at it, and managed to hit the thing like 3 times. I realized I did hit it because it hopped away limping. I immediately began to scream for help to anyone in the area to help me identify or destroy this creature. But it was too far too late, and the sun was setting. I managed to find my horses and safely got us all back home, and we never saw that creature ever again. Number 8. I'm a rancher who sells livestock in New Mexico for a living. This was back in 2001. One night I felt very ill and was not able to put my 8 cows back in the stable that I keep them in overnight. The next morning I woke up to go check up on them and they were all dead. Literally dead. No blood, no signs of any laceration or physical damage, except perfectly made holes near their throats. Police and game wardens did nothing about this but just take pictures and file a report. This was about the same time that there was other alleged UFO sightings near my area. I don't know if it made a believer out of me, but I'm not willing to find out for a second time. Number 9. I seldom would spend the night at my brother's house, and I mean rarely, mainly because of the dark, eerie feels it had to it. One night, I went to sleep in one of his guest bedrooms and I woke up to this night terror episode. It was fucking terrifying. This creepy creature looking thing on top of my chest was causing me to gasp for air. It was reptile looking, Best description I can give you is it looked like Alien from Alien vs. Predator. I immediately closed my eyes and said, "God be with me." Seconds later, the thing vanished. I don't know what that was, a night terror, a demon, an actual creature, or all of the above, but I never slept back in his place ever again. He did also mention that similar events like that would happen to every woman who ever slept at his house. Me being his sister will never forget that time. Number 10. There would occasionally appear this giant bird Mothman looking creature outside my window. About 7 foot tall, fully winged, some animal features, some human. It never actually harmed me though. I guess I would call it more of a protector or an angel or something. The first time I ever saw it, I was shitting my pants. But the more I saw it, the more I realized I had seen strange things that would happen to me or around me during those times. It was almost like a messenger warning me when danger was about to occur. And when I saw it, danger did always occur, or something tragic or unfortunate of that sort. This is the first time I've ever opened up about it or talked about it because, how do you explain this to anyone without them thinking you're insane? I don't live in that state anymore, so I haven't seen it ever since.